Welcome to this high-intensity explainer, future CPAs. Today, we're literally putting on our tax detective hats to lock in the incredibly complex rules of gross estate inclusions for your LCPA prep. Now, if you want to build a rock-solid 3-year retention span for these concepts so you can totally crush the boards, you really need to understand how the examiners think. We're going to decode the exact tax rules that usually catch people off guard, and we'll transform that dense tax code into visual, bite-sized frameworks. All right, let's dive right in. So here's our cognitive roadmap for today. We're hitting the substance over form rule, revocable and retained rights, power of appointment battles, insufficient consideration math, the life insurance taxability grid, and finally, insolvent claims with a quick bullet review. Building these mental folders in your brain right now is going to absolutely guarantee that 3-year retention span for the board exams. Section 1. The substance over form rule, finding the hidden assets. Let's kick off our investigation with the absolute anchor of estate tax. When calculating the gross estate, you have to remember that the BIR isn't just looking at what a person owned on the exact day they died, right? They're actually hunting for hidden assets through what we call taxable transfers. See, a taxable transfer might look like a totally simple gift or sale on paper while the person is alive, but in substance, the decedent kept the puppet strings attached right up until they died. And because the real economic benefit didn't truly shift until death, the tax code treats these lifetime transfers as testamentary, which means, yep, they get pulled right back into the gross estate. You've got to burn this mnemonic into your memory right now. RIP CCR GVR. This is your master list of inclusions. A hugely tested one here is contemplation of death. This is basically a donation mortis causa, meaning it's primarily motivated by the thought of dying, where the transferor retains control or the transfer actually becomes void if the donee dies first. Basically, all of these items represent scenarios where the law steps in and says, whoa, not so fast, that is definitely still part of your estate. So whenever you face a super tricky transfer question on the exam, I want you to ask yourself this one single active recall question. Did the decedent maintain control? If the answer is yes, whether that's legally or even just beneficially, boom, it belongs in the gross estate. That's literally the golden thread connecting all taxable transfers. Moving on to Section 2, revocable and retained rights, catching the puppet strings. Okay, let's chunk down 2 very distinct ways a decedent tries to maintain control of a property during their lifetime, because, let me tell you, examiners absolutely love to test this. Notice the key difference here. Revocable means keeping the power to cancel or alter the deal. And get this, even if the decedent never actually exercised that power to revoke while they were alive, the mere fact that they could means it gets included in the gross estate. On the flip side, retention of rights means keeping the physical enjoyment or income of the property. Imagine transferring the naked title of a mango orchard to your nephew, but keeping the usufruct, meaning the right to harvest and sell those mangoes until you die. In both cases, you're keeping those puppet strings firmly in your own hands. All right, Section 3, power of appointment battles, GPA versus SPA. Guys, this is a classic Les Pat trap, so pay close attention to the exact distinction you need to make here. Lock this into your brain. General power of appointment, or GPA, means total freedom. The decedent had the broad power to give the property to literally anyone they wanted. They were treating it effectively as their own property, and that results in total inclusion in the gross estate. But what about a special power of appointment? Well, that means restricted choice. The original owner dictated a very specific class of people the property could go to, kind of like a fiduciary heir passing it to a fideikommissary. Because the decedent couldn't just hand it to anyone, it is automatically excluded. So general equals include, special equals exclude. Simple as that. Next up, Section 4, insufficient consideration math. The valuation formula. Now, we really need to proceduralize the math for when a decedent tries to sell property way below its actual value just to dodge estate taxes. This is called a transfer for insufficient consideration. I want you to follow these steps rigidly on your scratch paper during the board exam. First, confirm the property was actually sold for less than the fair market value at the time of the sale. If it was, then you move to the critical calculation. You take the fair market value at the time of death, not the time of sale, by the way. This is exactly where students mess up. And then you subtract the consideration that was actually received. Whatever that difference is, that's the amount that gets pulled right back into the gross estate. But hang on, what if the transaction was a completely legitimate, bona fide sale for adequate and full consideration? Meaning they sold it for exactly what it was worth at the time of the sale. Well, then the inclusion value is a stark 0. It really doesn't matter if the property value skyrockets by the time they die. If it was a fair trade, it's out of the gross estate entirely. No way around it. Section 5, Life Insurance Taxability Grid, the Memory Matrix. When it comes to life insurance proceeds, honestly, rote memorization of long textbook sentences will totally fail you under the intense time pressure of the exam. So we're going to use this visual grid instead. Take a mental screenshot of this matrix right now. If the beneficiary is the estate, the executor, or the administrator, the proceeds are always taxable. It completely doesn't matter if the designation was revocable or irrevocable. Now, if the beneficiary is a third party, like a friend or a family member, it is taxable if the designation is revocable. So, the absolute crucial takeaway is this. Life insurance proceeds are only excluded if a third party is designated irrevocably. Oh, and here's a massive LECA CPA study hack for you. If the problem is completely silent on whether it's revocable or irrevocable, Philippine law presumes it is revocable, which means, you guessed it, you must pull it back into the gross estate. And finally, Section 6, Insolvent Claims and Bullet Review. The golden rule and final hacks. Let's tackle our final rule today, and it's all about insolvent debtors. When dealing with claims against insolvent persons, you might be super tempted to just include the net collectible amount, right? Do not do it. The golden rule here is you must put the whole pie, meaning the full receivable amount, into the gross estate first. Only after you've included that full amount can you actually claim the uncollectible portion as an ordinary deduction. It's kind of like a two-step dance that ensures the gross estate is perfectly and accurately reported before any deductions are applied. Okay, let's lock in today's session with a rapid-fire review. I want you to screenshot these 7 bullets in your mind right this second. They're perfectly chunked to trigger your recall in the exact format the LECPA examiners love to use, from substance over form, catching those taxable transfers, to GPA, meaning inclusion, all the way down to including the full receivable for insolvent claims. Seriously, if you can instantly recall these 7 lines, you are going to confidently navigate through some of the absolute trickiest taxation questions they can throw at you. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself something. How will you apply this ultimate substance over form detective tool in your future practice to protect the integrity of the tax code? Remember, the law isn't just about what's written on a piece of paper. It's really about the true economic reality of the transaction. If you master this mindset now, you won't just pass the board exams, you're going to be an absolutely exceptional CPA. Keep reviewing, keep analyzing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.